Lesson 100. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Just as God's Son completes his Father, so your part in it completes your Father's plan. Salvation must reverse the mad belief in separate thoughts and separate bodies, which lead separate lives and go their separate ways. One function shared by separate minds unites them in one purpose, for each one of them is equally essential to them all. God's will for you is perfect happiness. Why should you choose to go against his will? The part that he has saved for you to take in working out his plan is given you that you might be restored to what he wills. This part is as essential to his plan as to your happiness. Your joy must be complete to let his plan be understood by those to whom he sends you. They will see their function in your shining face and hear God calling to them in your happy laugh. You are indeed essential to God's plan. Without your joy, his joy is incomplete. Without your smile, the world cannot be saved. While you are sad, the light that God himself appointed as the means to save the world is dim and lusterless, and no one laughs because all laughter can but echo yours. You are indeed essential to God's plan, just as your light increases every light that shines in heaven, so your joy on earth calls to all minds to let their sorrows go and take their place beside you in God's plan. God's messengers are joyous, and their joy heals sorrow and despair. They are the proof that God wills perfect happiness for all who will accept their Father's gifts as theirs. We will not let ourselves be sad today, for if we do, we fail to take the part that is essential to God's plan as well as to our vision. Sadness is the sign that you would play another part, instead of what has been assigned to you by God. Thus do you fail to show the world how great the happiness he wills for you, and so you do not recognize that it is yours. Today, we will attempt to understand joy is our function here. If you are sad, your part is unfulfilled, and all the world is thus deprived of joy along with you. God asks you to be happy, so the world can see how much he loves his Son, and wills no sorrow rises to abate his joy. No fear besets him to disturb his peace. You are God's messenger today. You bring his happiness to all you look upon, his peace to everyone who looks on you and sees his message in your happy face. We will prepare ourselves for this today in our 5-minute practice periods by feeling happiness arise in us, according to our Father's will and ours. Begin the exercises with the thought today's idea contains. Then realize your part is to be happy. Only this is asked of you or anyone who wants to take his place among God's messengers. Think what this means. You have indeed been wrong in your belief that sacrifice is asked. You but receive according to God's plan, and never lose or sacrifice or die. Now let us try to find that joy that proves to us and all the world God's will for us. It is your function that you find it here and that you find it now. For this you came. Let this one be the day that you succeed. Look deep within you, undismayed by all the little thoughts and foolish goals you pass as you ascend to meet the Christ in you. He will be there, and you can reach him now. What could you rather look upon in place of him who waits that you may look on him? What little thought has power to hold you back? What foolish goal can keep you from success when he who calls to you is God himself? He will be there. You are essential to his plan. You are his messenger today, and you must find what he would have you give. Do not forget the idea for today between your hourly practice periods. It is yourself who calls to you today, and it is him you answer every time you tell yourself you are essential to God's plan for the salvation of the world. Lesson 100. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Expanded commentary on paragraphs 1 through 3. There's something sacred about crossing the threshold into triple digits. Lesson 100. A centennial moment in the curriculum of the mind. 100 days of choosing again, of loosening the grip on illusion and listening, maybe just for a moment, to the eternal whisper of truth. This lesson, like the others, makes a bold claim. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Not optional, not supplemental, essential. Let's break that open. The thread that connects all minds. This isn't a solo act. You are a part. That's what makes the word essential so potent. A part implies relationship, connection, placement, function within a whole. But don't miss this. Your part completes the plan. Not because God is lacking, but because his plan includes you. The Course says that salvation must reverse the belief in separate thoughts, separate bodies, separate lives, going their separate ways. That's a mouthful, but it's basically a poetic way of saying The ego built its kingdom on division. Separation isn't just a concept, it's the operating system of the dream. Now imagine a golden thread. One thread, running through every mind that seems to be walking around with a different name, a different body, a different story. This single thread is your shared function. It pulls us together invisibly and inevitably, like gravity for the soul. And when one person claims their part, feels it, lives it, the thread lights up, and in doing so, it tugs gently on every other soul. God's will is perfect happiness. What if God's will wasn't mysterious or severe, but simple, radiant, and profoundly kind? God's will for you is perfect happiness, not conditional happiness, not the brittle kind that collapses when someone cuts you off in traffic, not happiness that comes from things that pass away, but perfect happiness, the kind that doesn't tremble, the kind that is. And yet, the question lands hard. Why would you go against his will? Because to be honest, most of us do. We choose pain. We cling to judgment. We wear sadness like a badge of honor. Not because we want to suffer, but because we've been taught that suffering makes us real. That pain is proof of care. That joy is shallow or naive. But here's the reversal. God has saved your part for you. You can't miss it. You didn't lose it. It hasn't expired or been reassigned. It's waiting, untouched by time. And when you take up your function, you don't just fulfill some heavenly job description, you are restored. That's the word the Course uses. You don't gain something new, you return to what's always been true. And what is your function? Joy. This part is as essential to his plan as it is to your happiness. When joy returns, clarity returns with it. It spills over. It's not private. When someone walks into your joy, they see themselves differently. The Course says they will see their function in your shining face. That's not poetic fluff. That's metaphysical fact. Your joy is a mirror. And when they catch a glimpse of their own reflection in your radiance, something stirs. Not their ego, but the part of them that remembers. Your happy life becomes a message louder than sermons. It's how God calls to them, through you. A transmission not heard by ears, but known by the soul. Like Sport and her brother Jeb in the bewitching pool, hearing that whisper in the wind, the whisper that says, "There's another way. Come home." Without your joy, his joy is incomplete. This next line throws a curveball. Without your joy, his joy is incomplete. How can that be? God is whole, eternal, unchanging. What does it mean that his joy is somehow incomplete? It's like this. Imagine the sun, always shining, full and fierce. But if you're under cloud cover, you don't see it. You may even doubt it's there. Now multiply that by billions, each person covered in clouds of guilt, grief, and grievance. From the sun's perspective, nothing's missing. But from the world's view, something's definitely wrong. So when your cloud clears, when joy returns to you, you let more light through. You allow God's joy to reach the world. Your part is to uncover, not create. You don't make the sun shine, but you do let it shine. And here's the gut punch. While you are sad, the light that God himself appointed as the means to save the world is dim and lusterless. This isn't a guilt trip. It's an invitation. Sadness isn't sin. It's a signal. Something in the mind is off. Not because of what happened, but because of what we made it mean. The Course reminds us, I am never upset for the reason I think. Every time sadness shows up, there's a hidden belief behind it. Something untrue, something ego-made. And no one laughs because all laughter can be but echoes of yours. You laugh, the world echoes it. You smile, the world starts to remember how. This is the ripple effect of a healed mind. Not a saint with a halo, but a brother who chose again. So these first 3 paragraphs aren't just theological musings, they're a mirror. They're asking us to look at the idea that our happiness isn't self-centered, it's world-centered. Your part is essential, your joy is essential, your laughter is a bridge. Let the clouds part, let the light through. Because God's will for you is perfect happiness and the world is waiting for the echo. There's a moment when truth doesn't whisper anymore. It rings. Paragraph 4 is one of those moments. You are indeed essential to God's plan. Indeed. That word again, a truth word, a word of emphasis, of underlining, of cosmic certainty. You're not here by accident. You're not filling space. You're not optional. You're essential. And what does your joy do? It increases every light that shines in heaven. That means your joy, your decision for joy here, on this strange little sphere of duality and decay, somehow strengthens the light of eternity itself. But that only makes sense if you understand that heaven is not elsewhere. It's not an address in the clouds. Heaven is a state of mind, a state of complete awareness of God, and your joy here reflects it, echoes it, adds to its resonance across the sonship. Your joy is a call. It calls minds out of sorrow, like a lighthouse calls ships out of stormy waters. And here's the thing about sorrow, it can't stay unless we feed it. It's like a stray cat. If you don't put food out, it eventually leaves. But if you build a shrine to it, if you keep memorializing it, if you say, "This sorrow is who I am now," then you've made it your companion, you've made it sacred, you've made it home. But the truth is, sorrow moves on when you stop worshipping the idea that death is real, that loss is total, that endings are true. The Course says there is no death, and yet the world screams otherwise. But when you believe the scream, sorrow sticks around. Not because it must, but because you've offered it tea and a bed. And yet, joy heals sorrow and despair. Why? Because God's messengers are joyous. So here's the question. Can you carry a message of joy if you're clinging to sadness? You can't fake this. You can't talk about resurrection while wearing funeral clothes. Your joy is the message. And if you refuse the gift, if you say, "This can't be for me," then you don't just deny yourself. You deny the world the proof that God wills perfect happiness for His children. Here's the power play. God's gift doesn't vanish if you reject it. It simply stays with Him, undelivered, unshared, unclaimed, until you accept the inheritance. Don't let yourself be sad today. We will not let ourselves be sad today. Not because sadness is bad, not because you're in trouble if you feel it, but because sadness blocks the beam. If you are sad today, you fail to take the part that is essential, and not just to God's plan, but to your own vision. Sadness is a veil. Joy is clarity. Sadness is an echo of a story about separation. Joy is the sound of the present moment humming with God. Let's ask something blunt. Have you ever thought of God as sad? Ever pictured Jesus sulking in the corner? No, you haven't. Because He knows something we've forgotten. There is no loss in truth. There is no suffering in God. There is no power greater than love. So when you are sad, you misrepresent Him. You forget His gift. And the world misses its chance to see the great happiness that's meant for it. And this line hits home. Thus do you not recognize that it is yours. Because when you don't give joy, you don't believe joy. You withhold the gift and forget that it was yours in the first place. So how do you show the world the happiness God wills for you? You show it when you laugh easily, without irony or defense. Forgive quickly, even when the ego screams. Smile in stillness, not performance. Choose peace in the middle of drama, walk away from judgment like it's a bad smell. Let go of outcomes, trusting that truth doesn't need control. When you live like that, people feel it. They don't always understand it, but they feel it, and it calls them. Joy is our function here. Today we will attempt to understand joy is our function here. Not success, not punishment, not striving or self-improvement. Joy. If you're sad, your part is unfulfilled, and the world feels that loss. The Course doesn't say, try to be happy. It says God asks you to be happy, not begs, not demands, but asks. Why? So the world can see how much He loves His Son. Your happiness is evidence of God's love. It's not just for you, it's a billboard, and that's why sorrow cannot rise to abate His joy. That's why no fear can beset Him to disturb His peace. Those words, abate, beset, disturb, they're not just poetic, they're clinical diagnoses of the ego's effects. But none of them apply to God. He doesn't waver. His joy doesn't flicker. And so the final lines of this paragraph land like thunder. You are God's messenger today. You bring His happiness to all you look upon, His peace to everyone who looks on you and sees His message in your happy face. So, what's that message? Everything is okay, not will be okay, not can be okay, but already is. That's the message. It says, the dream has no power. God has not left His Son. There is nothing wrong with reality. And your happy face, that unbothered, luminous, unshakable joy, is how the message gets through. So this isn't lightweight work. This is the core of salvation. Joy isn't a mood, it's a function. Sadness isn't a crime, it's a sign that you've stepped away from your assignment. So come back, smile like you mean it, laugh like God is real. Let your joy teach the world what it forgot. That it was never separate, never broken, never unloved. The lie of sacrifice. We will prepare for this today by feeling happiness arise in us, not by chanting a mantra, not by listing grievances, not by analyzing our trauma, just by feeling happiness arise. Not manufactured happiness, not forced positivity, but a quiet, gentle permission to let joy come up. Why? Because God's will and yours are the same. We forget that. We think our will is to protect, defend, gather, survive. But those are the ego's instincts, not the soul's desire. The soul wants peace, the soul wants joy, the soul remembers its father. And here's the twist. Your part is to be happy. Only this is asked of you. Just sit with that. Of all the possible things you could do today, fast, pray, serve, hustle, prove, God asks this. Be happy. But we've been conditioned to believe something else. We've been told, implicitly, sometimes explicitly, that sacrifice is required, that to be spiritual we must suffer, that to be good we must give up what we love, that if something feels joyful it's probably suspect. That's the lie of sacrifice. And it's an old lie. The word itself carries the weight of altars, of blood, of bargains struck in fear. The ego says, you want success? Sacrifice your values. You want love? Sacrifice your truth. You want peace? Sacrifice your needs. But God says, you want life? Receive it. You want joy? Accept it. You want your part in salvation? Take it without loss, because in God's plan there is no loss. Nothing real is taken. Nothing sacred is slain. Under the ego's plan, everything ends. Everyone dies. The cost is always higher than advertised. God's plan. A relationship built on forgiveness. A decision made in stillness. A life lived without comparison. A purpose that brings joy to all, including you. Ego's plan. Burnout disguised as ambition. Resentment packaged as loyalty. Control mistaken for love. Guilt used as currency. God never asks you to bleed to prove your love, only to be happy, because that's what love is. The Christ in you is here and now. Now the course shifts from idea to experience. Let us try to find that joy that proves to us and all the world God's will for us. This isn't abstract, this is felt. The proof is not in the argument, it's in the radiance. And it says, find it here, find it now, not later. Not when your bank account looks better. Not when your ex apologizes. Not when the world calms down. Now, because now is the only doorway to eternity. For this you came. Let that sentence stop you. Let it pierce. You didn't come to accumulate. You didn't come to protect yourself from pain. You came to find joy and be it. But there are obstacles, little thoughts, foolish goals. You know them. They rush in like flies the moment silence arrives. I need to do this. I should have said that. What if they think I'm crazy? These are the ego's tricks, small hooks to pull you back into the story. But the Course says, pass them, ascend, climb above the noise, not with effort, but with focus. Meet the Christ in you. He's not in the clouds, he's not on a cross. He is in the quiet center of your being, waiting patiently, smiling without pressure. What could you want more than this? And now the most intimate promise in the lesson, he will be there. And you can reach him now. No qualifications, no waiting list, no approval process. He will be there. Not might, not maybe. So now you're asked, what would you rather look upon? That regret you keep polishing? That fantasy that never arrives? That fear dressed up as responsibility? What little thought has power to hold you back? Let's name some. I'm not ready. It's too late. I've messed up too much. They won't understand. This can't be that simple. Those are the thoughts that shrink you, but they have no real power, because he who calls to you is God himself, not a priest, not a guru, not a distant force, God himself calling you. Now, and he's not calling you to perform. He's not calling you to prove. He's calling you to remember and return. It is yourself who calls you. He will be there today. Read that again, today. Not if you're spiritual enough, not if you've meditated long enough, just today. You are essential to his plan. You are his messenger. And here's the sacred instruction. You must find what he would have you give, because you can't give what you haven't claimed, and what he would have you give is joy, not advice, not judgment, not control, joy, peace, presence. It is yourself who calls you today. That's not poetic license, that's metaphysical truth. The capital S self, the Christ, the wholeness, the God in you, is calling, and every time you affirm, I am essential to God's plan for the salvation of the world, you are answering that call. That's not ego inflation, that's ego annihilation, because to know your essential role is to step into your true identity, not as a body, not as a name, but as a function of light. So say it again. And this time let it hit, I am essential to God's plan.